precious perfection, exquisite reflection of universal love. To accept that within you all of God lives within you. The mind of form and levels and degrees can't really accept that the entirety of the universe is in your heart. It's within you. It's not meant to be a mental game of trying to figure it out, because it will never be figured out. It's not meant to be a puzzle, and yet it defies every law that's made within the world. It defies the law of gravity. It defies the law of time. It defies the law of levels and degrees. The universe is within you, and everything. How can that be? And yet it is. And if this is such a mystery, which it is, then what can be known that is really truth? Everything of the temporary was made in defiance of truth. And yet, truth cannot be defied. Everything that is not the truth of love, of all that is, will disappear. Every beloved watches the temporary disappear all the time. Not just oceans shrinking or growing or icebergs shrinking, but that everything temporary is not the universe that is within you. The universe that is within you is love, harmony, peace, joy. Honesty, kindness, gentleness. These elements of love are not temporary. They are the eternal truth. And that eternal truth is within you. The beautiful, perfect, the innocent, the power of the entire universe. To accept the power that is within you is a leap of faith. It isn't something that you can get a report card on, or that you can wrangle so that you can understand it. It takes you. And it expands you. so that you can rest in the greatness. The word greatness is not meant as it is within the world, greatness being a value or a level of something. Greatness is everything that exists, everything that is love. It has no opposite, and it has no resistance. It just is. And you are that. In the journey of love, as you accept your creation, you accept God's reflection, you accept that God sees you as perfection. The main element that everyone has searched for from the beginning of time, which is the beginning of the ego, the main thing is acceptance. And yet, in the truth of truth, you are completely accepted. Your perfection, your beauty, your light, your truth is all that is seen from the universe. The very thing that everyone longs for is right here. The acceptance that is love. You don't have to work for it. You don't have to jump through any hoops. You don't have to get good grades. You don't have to perform in any special way. If you did absolutely nothing, for the rest of this lifetime, it would make no difference. Your perfection, your beauty, your exquisiteness is not up for proving. There can be no proof of your divinity. When it collides is when the need for proof disappears, and you just accept and let it stir within you and accept the love. There's a saying, a teaching that is a prayer that's very familiar. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. Now, this is turned in that the idea that Jesus was his only Son, but there is only one child, one perfection, but it includes all of humanity. But God so loved the world, humanity, that he sees only the love that he created. And that is everything and everyone. Just the beauty of acceptance. Accepting the light within. And as you accept that light within, it speaks to you. It vibrates within you. And you begin to have a deep relationship with your heart. Listening to the heart. Letting spirit have your heart. And appreciating the communion of that divine spirit within your heart. And as you accept that divine spirit within your heart, that guidance, that love, at some point it comes to you. I'm in communication with my friend. I'm in communication with love. God so loved that he sent all the guides of love to lead the way home. And the comfort of that gift, the comfort of that communion. So gratitude becomes a deep part of the spiritual journey. Gratitude for every help. And in this moment, the gratitude that this universe is all love, that nothing else exists, and that the sanctuary is filled with love. Love is all that there is. And there is only one presence here. It is the life force of God. And within that life force, we live and move and breathe in the love of life itself. Only one presence, all of love. I was speaking to a beloved today about the simplicity of prayer, whether it's through hymns or whether it's through written prayers or just spontaneous prayer. It always comes back to it being so simple. So I was relating to this beloved that when I received a hymn, which was so astonishing to me, it was so simple. It was just, Mother, oh my mother, release me from this pain. It doesn't get any simpler than that. It's trusting that the Divine Mother, the beings of love, know the way to heal whatever it is that's in the way. Release me from this pain. That's all that's needed, is that invitation. It doesn't have to be those words. Show me the light. Help me out of my confusion. Let me see the truth. Just the simplicity of love. And to realize that the truth of love comes whenever you ask, and will remain with you because it is you, will remain with you forever. Over the mountains of despair, we will rise above. Over the heartache and the pain, upon the wings of love. The healing of my savage heart, gently by the dove, miraculously transforming us upon the wings of love. Terrible mistakes we think we've made, regrets we've undergone. Sometimes the hopelessness makes us forget the sun at dawn. All delight and joyousness, the tender mercies of Jesus, who carries our burdens upon the wings of love. Always upon the wings of love. That is guaranteed. Asking, inviting. Lord, 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 my beloved Master. Lord, 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 my heart. Here I present myself to walk the way of love. Here I present myself with all of my heart. I ask my mother to guide me. Guide me with your love. I ask my mother with all of my heart. Oh, my mother, my beloved mother, guide me in every step. As I hold your hand, show me always the path of love. Don't let me fall. Hold my hand as I wait at your feet. I kneel with humility. Here at your feet, I ask for charity to heal all beloveds, to bring humility in the heart, and to bring healing love in the name of truth. Señor, 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 meu mestre amado. Señor, 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 meu coração. Aqui me apresento para cumprir minha missão. Aqui me apresento de todo meu coração. Oh my amada, guia esta missão. Cada passo que der está de vossa mão. O Pai Divino, Pai, mostra-me sempre o caminho. Me deixe cair, não me deixe sozinho. A todo seu curar, com humildade meu coração, a todo seu curar, a nome da salvação. I kneel with humility at your feet and ask for help. Within the world, kneeling at someone's feet is often looked at as lowering yourself. But in actuality, in the urge to want to kneel or go even lower, prostrating on the floor, it engenders within a realization that I am yours. I am yours. So when you are prostrating yourself at the feet of God in your heart, yes, you're raising the white flag. But it's not the white flag that says I'm losing. It's the white flag that says, I want to come home. And it's where I belong. And I give up. Giving up is a beautiful part of humility. It isn't that you're giving up truth. You're willing to give up the made up of the past and accept love that is waiting to collide with you. It's already within you. You just haven't felt the collision yet. And every beloved finds the real joy of that. I kneel with humility. And you will never feel more powerful than in that letting go, because you're joining. Even though you've never been not joined, it's that beautiful acknowledgement. Forgive the dream. All your images of winter I see against your sky. I understand the wounds that have not healed in you. They seem to exist because God and love have yet to become real enough to allow you to forgive the dream. You still listen to an old alley song that brings your body pain. Now chain your ears to his pacing drum and flute. Fix your eyes upon the magnificent arch of his brow that supports and allows this universe to expand. All of you wants to know the warmth of the perfect one's circle. And it's right within you. A true saint is an earth in eternal spring. Your eternal beauty and perfection is the spring. The blossoming. The vibration. The vibrancy. The softness. The light. You are the eternal spring. You have the capacity to constantly be new because you are only new. You have no old. There is no opposite. You are perfect and constantly new. The truth of you cannot become jaded. The truth of you cannot become tired or worn out. The truth of you is the vibrancy of all creation. The wounds that have not healed, they exist because they seem to be about God and love have yet to become real enough. There is a seeming obstacle in the road to love. And that seeming obstacle seems to be the acceptance of love, of truth. To accept that you are love is to go beyond any evidence, to go beyond any perception of how you see things, but to hold in your heart that those old wounds are not the truth of you. And that God and love are real and will not disappoint you by letting that become more real. But one of the misunderstandings is a very funny place that the ego holds that is kind of one of those schemes, those scams that are run within the world that say one thing and do another. The ego tries to promise that if you accept truth, this is why it's a scam, because it's coming in sideways, that then you'll be safe and protected from the world and sinkholes, as an example of the world's unknowns. But that isn't really what occurs. I was very blessed when I went to that satsang and the master was saying, "Your house burns down." And he was laughing. "Your partner leaves," and he was laughing. He was laughing about death. All those things still go on. They're just things. There is a belief that somehow you will get the outcome that you want according to what the ego finds acceptable when you ask for help. Of course, that isn't really what happens. when you ask for help, the divine knows exactly what would be most helpful for you and opens you to that particular opportunity. Growth opportunities are not necessarily as the ego would like to present them to be. They're not the ending that you want out of each situation. What the ego does is the ego looks at every situation and decides what outcome would be most personally beneficial. Love doesn't cater to the ego. Love is presenting each beloved the perfect schoolroom for what there is to learn and remember. Sometimes it's a squeeze. And sometimes it doesn't align at all with what you had as a concept in your mind of an outcome. And that's why in the spiritual journey, the more that you can trust that it's unfolding in perfection and you're just in the boat riding along, learning, the easier the journey becomes. The conflict that seems to occur in the journey is the conflict between what the ego has decided it wants and what has been prayed for, asked for, and is showing up. But everything has the opportunity of learning and is perfect for you. Sometimes we don't see the perfection of it for sometimes years. I've had more ahas a year later or 6 months later or 2 years later, and just all of a sudden going, oh, wow, that's what that was. I see it now. How brilliant. Didn't see it at all at the time. But it's the trust in the divine that allows the journey to unfold in its perfection. If you are in the teachings of love, and the teaching of love says, I've given everything all the meaning that it has. And that's where my pain is when I give it meaning and I decide I know what it means, I end up suffering. If I give it no meaning and really ask for help to give it no meaning, it will actually open to the vibration of love. The meaning that is given to anything is the barrier to recognition of love. Because within everything is the flow of love. It's flowing all the time. And in the place of trust, of faith, to be able to, I'm not going to give this situation, I'm not going to give this moment any meaning. I'm here with love. And in that, blessings are recognized because the meaning isn't in the way. The meaning always comes back to something that has an edge of wanting protection from fear but the belief that it will give you control over the situation. But as everyone that has walked through every situation you realize, no, it actually doesn't, it doesn't protect me. It actually gave me the lie that this meant something and that the meaning that I gave it was accurate. When beneath that meaning is the gift of learning. If you give meaning to a situation and you have all your reasoning with it, what happens is that's all that you see. And the learning isn't available. It's there, but it isn't being accessed. So the calling is for that access of, I'm not going to give everything meaning because it's where my pain is. And I'm not going to give it meaning to anything because I'm afraid of letting it unfold. I'm going to trust in love, trust in God. Trust that I can be forgiven of the dream, that I can let the dream of meaning go and be open and available for the flow of love. I wrote something today that is about learning and the realization of how much resistance there is and how much fear there is about guidance. Not across the board like everybody has the same. It isn't like that at all. Everybody has a different relationship with it. Guidance is seen as losing control. Guidance is seen as abdicating your power. Guidance is seen as a fearful place because you don't know the outcome and you can't control the outcome if you're asking for guidance. But what's not really seen in guidance is that it is through guidance that the ego is actually eliminated. Because it is only when a beloved stops listening to the voice of the ego that healing can enter. And a devotion can open. Devotion to truth. So through learning to be still and ask for direction, we eliminate the ego. The ego's lost its job when we ask for guidance. That's the beginning of the turning in devotion to the Holy Spirit, to God, to truth. And this is the other part that I wrote about today, which is not necessarily recognized, obviously. In the world that you walk, that we all walk, you are never with your own thoughts. You have no personal thoughts that are yours. They're not a third set of thoughts. You are either listening to the ego or you are listening to the voice of love. There's no other, there's no in between where you have your own space. The idea that to listen to and to choose the decision of love, to learn to decide with love, is being battled by the opposition that says, I want my power. I want control over my thoughts. I want to decide what I want. But you're not. you're either listening to the voice of the past and the voice of limitation and separation, or you're willing to listen to the voice of love that wants to just help you return home. I had a miracle that lasted for about 50 years. It took about 50 years for it to come around. In the past, there was a voice that spoke to me every day. It was a voice that came through another beloved. And that voice said every day, "Who do you think you are?" And followed with, "You're nothing. You have nothing. You will never have anything. You are nothing." Then that voice became the voice of the ego. And I heard it all the time. And I believed it. And I listened to it. In transformation, the Holy Spirit took those words and changed the purpose of those words. And I heard the words, "Who do you think you are? You are the light of God. You are the beauty of all creation." That was the transfer from the ego voice to the Holy Spirit's transformation. That was a choice being made to listen to truth. That voice of "Who do you think you are?" was the death rattle of the ego, in the sense that the ego wanted to use it to amplify death, amplify misery, amplify pain, amplify the lies of separation. And the Holy Spirit took that and transformed it to reality. That's the purpose of guidance. All those old voices, all those old messages, all those old directions get transformed. Because first, they're no longer being listened to, and you're now listening to that voice that says, "Who do you think you are? You're the light of God." That's the voice that is waiting to lead you. The voice isn't always saying nice things in the sense of it's not an ego booster, but the voice always tells the truth of exactly what it is that you would be most helped by, that would be the most beneficial to you, is what guidance will always bring you. Always. The outcome may not be what you think it should be, what the ego thinks it should be. That's part of the trust of actually changing a pattern that is so ingrained and so frozen in its untruth that you've been listening to this voice that says, "I'm going to keep you safe," and it never has, and it never will. And yet the voice of love that's saying to you, in your defenselessness, your safety lies, which is so completely upside down from what the ego's litany is. In your defenselessness, your safety lies, really means that God is calling you to become truly undefended. And how can you become undefended? How can you open your heart? Unless you have those companions of strength that keep pulling you in the right direction. How are you going to open your heart in the old way when the world is, you're still believing in all the stuff of the world? It's through the guidance that it gives you the courage. I can open my heart. I'm not here on my own. I'm held in God's light. And if I am undefended, I cannot be hurt. That isn't the way of the world, but that is the way of love. And in guidance, and each teaching is a guidance. So in your defenselessness, your safety lies is a guidance. It's a guidance that's calling you to open your heart and recognize that no one has anything that can harm you. You cannot be harmed. Your divine spirit is impervious. It's not capable of being hurt. And your opening, your defenselessness is just meeting the truth. It's your natural state to have your heart open and offer love. It's not an oddball place. So love keeps calling you to all of these different guidance teachings that will make the journey as profound and as deep and as quick as possible. Because it isn't the intention of the Holy Spirit to stretch this out into another identity. Your healing is to remember. And one of the major elements of that is guidance. It is the kneeling in humility and saying, I'm yours. I'm yours. I haven't got a clue how to walk in this world and traverse my made-up mind. I need help. And help is given. Always given. Now chain your ears to his pacing drum and flute. Fix your eyes upon the magnificent arch of his brow that supports and allows the universe to expand. The arch of his brow expands the universe. Chain yourself to his instruments. That's a deep calling. And yet, it is what occurs. You chain yourself to the truth. You chain yourself to teachings. You chain yourself, not out of misery, not out of running away of something, but because you want the truth. You want the guidance to show you the way. And you want to accept and forgive the dream so that you can recognize the universe that has always been within you. And that universe is the entire universe, one and the same. Listening to guidance. If you are asking guidance and it looks like logic, be asking deeper. If it looks like logic, if it looks like measuring, advantage, outcome, reasoning, you can be very sure that you've hooked into the ego and not into your true guidance. When you receive guidance, it's clear, it's simple, and it does not have an explanation that goes with it. And the most helpful thing is not to add an explanation to it. Part of the learning through guidance is that you follow the guidance and don't know why, and really don't know what the outcome is going to be. But this is where God called me to be, because the guidance is not about the actual form that it takes, but really it's the learning of trust, that you can trust the guidance of love, and that it will lead you in the easiest direction. No safe outcomes. No safe outcomes. It will always be what is most helpful. But I have been through many situations and circumstances where I listened to guidance, and the whole time I was going, really? Really? It has to be this way? Yep. And it was always perfect. Always. Guidance is love. Nothing to be afraid of. Only love.